Taking handwritten notes is a good thing to do, because there is something about the way that that touches your brain that, you know, just adds dimension and hopefully cements this into the right term memory, you know, maybe not long-term memory, but longer than short-term memory that will keep you ready for taking the test.
I definitely think it is important to write things down, even though sometimes it's hard to go back through it. It's just, you're right, the fact of writing it down does a lot for you.
Yes. And so, you know, I think that'll really help in terms of your studying for the, you know, for the exam, as well as for having something to refer to later when you want to get your firm to do the right thing. So which of the following is not an input?
Oh, see. Activity cost estimates. I don't have that. Is not an input to determine budget process. Actually, activity cost estimates, human resource plan. No. My budget process would be activity cost estimates, project schedule, which is not an input. Project schedule, scope, baseline, the human resource plan. Activity costs. I'd want to use activity costs, but that's human resource plan. I would put D.
Yes, that is correct.
I was looking at it, I'm like, well, my resources, I need my resources, but then I read it over and I went, human resource plan. I don't need a human resource plan.
Very good. And I was saying, see, I think that's what's helping us keep on task here, because I think you are very intuitive because of your vast knowledge of project management. So that's good. Okay, so for question 2, and just stop me, you know, when we get beyond to which ones you've done.
Oh, there's a lot I didn't do. I didn't do the calculations on. I looked through and I went, okay, I'm not going to do those yet. Okay, my project value, this would be -50. D.
Correct.
Okay. Okay, the square footage of the building, it would not be the bottom-up estimating. It's not parametric, I don't believe, because that's all looking at historical pricing. No, parametric and Nautilus is bottom-up. Did we talk about swag?
No, we didn't.
Okay, so it can't be swag because we didn't talk about it.
You know, that's the WAG part is wild arse guess. So yeah, that's
okay.
That would not be a good method for estimating.
Yeah, so I would choose D.
It's
I don't have
B is in Bravo because you're multiplying by a factor. So basically you did have something, you know.
I don't have a factor.
Huh?
Oh, I have a square footage, yes, of a building.
And so you're multiplying by a set cost factor. So that would be parametric because
it's estimating the length by how much, right? Square foot. Oh.
So basically you're putting in, you know, that multiplication is the parameter then.
Okay. All right.
Okay, so does that make sense then?
Yes, it does.
Okay. So question 4.
Okay, your team is in the process of finalizing and producing the cost baseline. I know this is running. For the project you are working on, your team is involved in, they're working on the cost estimating. Okay, but notice the words producing the cost baseline. So I think the answer would be B, determining budget. Yes. Yep. And that's funny. That's what I circled. That's what I had. But and see, now we've seen on more than one and probably well more than half the occasions where your initial gut reaction was right, and then you talked yourself out of it. So stop that. I know, it's not good. You're in the process of developing an assessment of the likely quantitative amount of funding that will be required to complete the project. You are involved in estimating costs.
Correct. And just stop me whenever we've gotten beyond the questions that you've answered, and you know, we can then do the rest tomorrow.
Oh no, there's a lot I just looked through and I went, okay, only because I was, sorry, in the middle of answering some stuff.
Oh, and I was going to say, and work has to come first.
So, which of the following is not generally an example of a direct cost? An employee benefit is an indirect cost.
Correct. So that would be answer C.
Yep.
Okay. Number 7.
Okay, your project's actual cost has a reported value of $200,000. This is equal to the earned value. So the actual is $200,000. The earned is the same, so that's $200,000. Then I have to come up with the CPI because it's asking me for the estimate at completion. Let's see. Let's look. So, estimate at completion. Oh, did it say estimate? Oh, yeah, estimate at completion. I have to take the budget at completion, which is the $400,000. I have to divide it by the CPI. So my CPI is determined by my earned value of my actual cost. That comes to 1. So I have to do my 400,000, which is my budget, my budget at completion, is divided by my CPI. Then I have to take my, wow, there's a lot to do here. Estimate at completion.
Okay, now here I think you're getting ahead of yourself and making it too difficult, because basically your actual cost is 200,000. Let's pretend that's a comma. Yep. And this is equal to the earned value. So AC equals EV. So therefore, like you said, your CPI is 1. And the original budget complete was 400,000. Yes. So if all you know, because you know nothing about anything else, that the CPI is 1 and your budget at complete is 400,000, then the estimate at complete is going to be C 400,000 again. Yep.
Okay. I did. I looked at the formulas on here and I went, oh, I don't feel like calculating that.
and sometimes you don't have to. So just, be aware that sometimes it's just, it's straightforward. I mean, once you did the calculation and saw that your CPI was 1, and that's really all the data you had to calculate the EAC. So basically you've got 400,000 for your estimate at complete.
Okay. You're requested to produce the estimated cost of the project as closely and as accurate as possible. Which of the following techniques would you use? Well, I know it's not parametric because we just went through this, so I know that. So I think it's going to be, let's see, D.
Actually A, because bottom-up estimating, remember, takes all the lowest level, or at least at the cost account level estimates and sums those up to the top. So that's going to be relatively close, and in terms of accuracy, make whatever your optimism or pessimism numbers would be. But
okay.
Parametric and analogous suffer from the fact that the situation isn't exactly the same. So you're dealing with maybe different climates, maybe different regulatory issues or whatever. And then order of magnitude is just not a option.
Okay.
So
and doubling the number of the resources, D, the law of diminishing returns.
Correct. Okay,
opportunity. I would choose A, project selection, when one project is selected over another.
Very good. And 11?
You have allocated the project costs over the life of the project. The main output of this, you have allocated the project costs over the life of the project. That would be a time phase budget. Did we talk about that?
We did not talk about a time phase budget, but that is indeed the right answer. And I guess we briefly mentioned it in that since all the money isn't there on day one, you have to plan your money just like you plan anything else so that you don't accrue.
I only chose that because it only seemed like a rational answer. So I almost was going to cross that out because I said we didn't talk about that, but then I was looking at the others and I'm like, what, you know, but that's the only thing that really made sense.
Yeah, so that is it.
Okay.
Okay, number 13, no, number 12.
Oh, no, we're on number 12, right?
Yeah, 12.
And then we have earned value management is a tool, is a technique and tool that can be used in earned value management. A.
Is that your final answer?
No, because when I look at it, I would be looking at D, but
actually, I think the right answer is B as in Bravo, because basically it is, you take the raw data, in other words, your the cost accrued and the value earned, and that's more of a monitoring and controlling function.
Okay.
In other words, you don't have, you don't have earned value management stuff until you actually start.
You know what, you're right. I even have that in my notes, cost accrued, and yep, I have that in my notes under controlling. You're reviewing an earned value report and observe that the CPI is 1.2 and the SP is 1. So 1.2 and SP1 were under budget and on schedule.
Correct. And that's good to know those things, and know them off the top of your head, but if you have to put them in your brain dump, that's okay too.
Yeah, I mean, I just see that the SPI is 1, and I see that the SPI is 1.2. Below 1, we're going to be over budget. So, okay. Your earned value analysis report is due. Project information indicates the following EV. Okay, so we have EV. Let's see. Thank goodness I wrote down all my formulas because I can't remember any of them. So EV is 150, PV is 140, actuals are 160. Report the project is. So my EV is 150, earned value, planned value is 140, and my actual cost, well, I'm over budget. I know that.
Correct.
So let's see, project into EV, earned value project, 140. So I'm behind schedule and over budget. Let's say 150 PV.
Well, now, are you ahead or are you behind schedule? Because you've earned 150,000 and
the planned. Oh, you know what? I'm ahead of my schedule, but I'm over budget.
Right. So B is the right answer.
B.
Okay, number 15.
As projects progress, the graph of project cost will follow a characteristic shape. Did we study this? Typically, the information provided in the tip of graph indicates that.
Well, we did a little bit. We looked at those graphs, and remember, we looked at the curves for each of the processes, for the process groups, and so everything kind of went up and then it came down. So, and then we did that S curve or the X where basically the stakeholders had a lot of input at the beginning and less input at the end, and then the costs were low at the beginning and obviously went up at the end. And so basically that was intended, and obviously wasn't in this lesson because it wasn't even today that we talked about it.
We know that the project does have ups and downs, and we know generally towards the end the costs are higher, but we also have stakeholder problems in the beginning, generally. Project costs at low levels rapidly increase, plateau, and then decline. And then problems often occur near the beginning and the end of the. This is a tricky question. Projects inherently are prone to experiencing ups and downs.
But I think predominantly D as in dog.
The project's costs start at low levels, rapidly increase,
plateau. They start at low levels, and then they increase, and then they kind of get to some level because they can't keep going up forever, and then they go down.
Oh, sorry.
Because ideally, unless you get canceled in midstream, you usually don't just fall off a cliff.
Yeah,
that's true. The cost, gracefully degrade, as it were. Okay, for 17, okay, I can't really get 17, for 16 rather.
Okay, if the cumulative CPI falls below the baseline plan, all future work must be performed at to achieve the planned budgeted at cost, falls below. To achieve the plan below the TCPI, work must be below the TCPI. Formed at, below.
Yeah, and I'm not really wild about these answers for this question. So I'd say the closest to correct is probably A, the TCPI to achieve the planned budget at complete. But so we've got TCPI below the baseline plan. Yeah, I would think it's less than 1. And so,
well, we don't, okay, we don't want the CPI to be lower than a 1 because then we're over budget. Okay.
Correct. So to me, that sounds like you're over budget. So
we want it to be at the TCPI. What about if it was to complete the performance index?
Well, I think the issue here is that you would actually calculate the to complete performance index to come up with your budget at complete, so your planned budget at complete.
Okay.
And so, and the word planned is what gets you, because basically that's what you do. You calculate the TCPI, and then that gives you what you need to do to get to your planned budget at complete.
Okay.
So it's kind of a circular question, as it were. Okay, number 17.
I didn't really like that.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's a little bit odd, but that's the closest to correct I can think of. Because those other ones have a failing.
Okay, so we have a 6-year project. Okay, the average cost of a 6-year project is estimated to be $6 million per year, and the estimated total cost to be $6 million.
And again, this is money, but we didn't discuss it today. We really discussed it yesterday. And so for the 6-year project, it's $6 million per year. Well, you don't really care that it's a 6-year project. You just care that the return every year is $6 million, and the total profit is expected to be $12 million.
For the total. So there is estimated to be $6 million per year. The estimated total profit is expected to be $12 million. It is million per year for 6.
So I think here you have to make an assumption, and the assumption is that the profit is spread like peanut butter across the 6-year project. So basically you're making $2 million per year in profit. So if you have 2 million divided by 6 million, then your answer would be A, 33%. But again, that's kind of a leap of faith to take, because usually you get more profit at the end than you get at the beginning.
Yeah, because well, for us, a lot of our outlay of costs are in the beginning.
Well, exactly. That, you usually don't have a product until somewhere down the line, even if you're,
that's right,
you know, progressively elaborating or whatever as you go. Yeah, but I think you have to make the assumption that it's spread like peanut butter.
Oh, okay. I like that term.
Okay, and then number 18, earned value management is a technique used for measuring variance on.
Earned value management. Is it B?
Yes, B is correct.
Oh, I'm trying to click it. I'm like, I can't move it down.
Okay, so yeah, and remember, because no other context, remember PMI wants to think about large, long-lived, complex projects. Let's see, now I'm going to change my screen sharing to